Okay everybody, so welcome back to the channel. This is part 3 of the Harley Benton Strat style kit build. You saw, maybe if you've seen part 1, you should check it out now. And part 2, check it out too. I have spoken to Harley Benton, because if you have seen part 1, you'll see that the body was not in good shape at all. But after speaking with them, they're letting me keep this kit to do with what I want, and they're sending me a brand new one. So after watching another YouTuber called Philip Mcknight, you might know him, it's Know Your Gear, very cool channel, I watch him quite a lot. He did a Crimson guitar kit build and used a blowtorch to relic the guitar and did some other things to it, so it inspired me to have a go at that kind of effect. So with this one I thought, well, seeing as the body's not in great shape anyway, I would see if I could do like a relic, make it look like it'd been pulled out of a fire or something like that. So I went ahead and had a go. At the moment I've obviously got all the hardware here, so I'm taking the hardware apart and I'm going to rub it all up with some wire wool, and I've got some coffee, which you can see there, and I'm going to rub that into all the plastic parts to just give it that old, used, kind of scratched up, aged kind of look, so that the guitar looks like it's a vintage guitar, not all spankly and white and shiny. And here comes the blowtorch. So there it is. Brand new, never used one like this before, never attempted this before. The guitar's all sanded down to 400 grit, right away from 80 up to 400, so it's nice and smooth and it's clean. Don't forget your goggles. So here we go. So after watching Phil's tutorial video on how he did it, I kind of just copied the same technique, and it's almost like you're painting the guitar with the heat, backwards and forwards. It took a couple of goes just to get the actual flame right. There we go. So just had to turn up a little bit there just to get the flame right, and then you're just literally just like burning the grain, which is really cool. I took a lot of care not to stay in the same place for too long, because I didn't want the wood to heat up too much and obviously come apart. And it's quite hot to hold as well, so you need to keep moving it around, because it does heat up pretty quickly. So I just did this backwards and forwards motion, and was very, very careful the whole time. And there is a massive bucket of water which you cannot see next to me, in case it did catch fire, so I could just dump it in there. On the bottom edges and around the edges, I wanted to give that real charred look, so I went to town a little bit around the bottom and the sides, which came out really well. So it kind of gave it that kind of burst look almost. And then in between each go, I would sand it back again with 400 grit until I got the desired effect. You can see I'll get a little bit braver as I'm going along. And then that's a 400 grit pad on there, and then I'd sand it back again. So that was like the first go, and it's starting to get the effect. And then the more I did it, the better it looked, and the better my technique got, I feel, as well. So it's almost like you're spray painting with the heat. It's very cool. Now, something I did learn recently, that this is actually an ancient Japanese technique for waterproofing wood, and it's called Sugi ban. I'll put a link in the description on an article about it. And it dates right back to 18th century, I think. Anyway, I'm trying to read it at the same time as do the video, but not working. Yeah, and it's actually a technique used for that purpose, and it just involves charring wood, which actually seals it apparently too, as well as give it an effect. So here I am, and now I'm really getting into it. I'm being very, very, very gentle the whole time, taking care not to burn anything, overburn anything. Occasionally you do get a flame. Anyway, so after I sanded it all back again with some wet and dry. You didn't see that bit, but I used a bit of 1000 grit wet and dry just to smooth it off. This is a water-based satin varnish that I just picked up from the hardware store, and it's very, very quick drying, especially in the sunshine. So this was really cool. I just rubbed this on with a rag, and while that was drying off, I decided to take these little wine bottle caps. It's just a bit of fun, and I glued the knobs on there and used those as knobs. Something you might want to do or might not want to do, but I thought it was just a bit of fun. You could use anything or just not bother. You can see I've left like a puddle of coffee sitting on the scratch plate, which is soaking into all them scratches and staining it up real good. Right, so onto the headstock. So you've got a paddle headstock with this guitar. This neck is gorgeous as well. Really, really impressed with it. So I just basically cut a Strat shape into there, and once you jigsawed it out, go to town with the 80 grit sandpaper. I've got a file wrapped, wrapped a file around with the sandpaper bar. Oh, there you go. There's some wet and dry paper. I do show it. Bit of wet and dry in between coats, and then just keep going. I did about 8 coats of varnish. Now onto the neck. Now this is the most scary bit, and Phil Mcknight says this in his video too. You have to be very careful here. I don't want to overcook this neck and warp it, or have the fretboard split or anything like that. So I was being very careful on a very low heat. The heat was so low that the nut didn't even melt. It got a little bit of a cook around the side, but not enough for it to have an effect on it. So I just took my time on the neck and let it cool down and did a few passes on it, but it came up really well. And I didn't rub the finish off that was on it. I don't know what they use on it. It was like a satin finish. I just left it on there, and that gave it a kind of it's hard to explain. It's like when you have oil in water and you get that kind of rainbow kind of effect. So in certain lights, when you turn it, you can see this kind of rainbowing. I don't know if that's an actual thing, but an actual term, but it looks really cool. The neck came up way better than I thought it would, and I did the same thing, and I just rubbed it with some wet and dry and then varnished it once it cooled down, of course. And it came up really, really good. I'm really, really happy with this guitar and the way it came out. To the point, it was so good, I didn't relic it any further. So I've kind of left it as a light sort of vintage relic. The tuners I scuffed up with some 180 grit and some wire wool. This is a jack socket I had lying around. The one that came with the guitar was 40, so I just swapped that over. So it's got like a rusty jack socket, and the neck plate I scuffed up with some wire wool and some sandpaper as well. So give it all that kind of used vintage kind of look, and then I did a fret polish as you do and put the guitar together. Here she is. Please excuse the blowing. I've got a fan on. It is like 34 degrees outside, and it could be even hotter in here, so I've got a fan blowing, but excuse the noise. But here's the guitar all done. It's been sat for a couple of days now, so the finish has gone off nice and hard, and I'm absolutely loving it. Really happy with how it turned out, despite the problems with the body. And unfortunately, it is sold. Boom. But that's why I do them. I do them to sell them. So even though I do love all of them, so you can see the effect we got. It's all set up, and it plays and sounds wonderful. Let me just see if I can get you down. I'll get back a bit. So this is just through my hand wired vintage amp. It's all valve. Going through a pod. I don't know what setting I've got it on. Some kind of like tweed blues. Now, everything is stock apart from the trem. I did change the trem for a better, more vintagey with a big block. Excuse my amps making some squealing noises over here. It plays really nice. I mean, I'm absolutely loving the way it plays. It sounds really good as well. I can't fault it. Pickups are just really, you know, like you want. Got all that sweetness. Yeah. Let's put some clean on. And you can hear as well that it keeps its tune really well as well. Got the neck pickup. In between. Middle. In between. Yeah, so basically, in short, this is a really nice guitar, and it's a shame it's gone, or it's going, but I'm going to gig it this Saturday, so I might put some video of that up as well. But yeah, so from quite a bad experience to begin with to quite a happy ending. Anyway, check out the next video because Thomann have sent me a replacement kit, which I have seen, but I'm not going to tell you my thoughts on it just yet. That'll be in the next video, and I will do a similar thing, I think, with it, but something a little bit extra as well. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next video. Peace.